Welcome back to RecalibrAgency. I'm joined today by Paul Murphy, the principal at 3 Advance. And today we're going to be talking about some of the lessons that he's learned in reinventing his agency as technologies change and some of the principles that you should be applying to yours as well. So Paul, thank you for joining us today. Did you have any challenges as you have iterated your service mix in bringing the team along and getting their skill sets aligned with the new services that you were offering?
Yeah, good question. Again, another huge benefit of an agency, right, is that we are often learning with other people's money. And I don't mean to say that we're stuck doing things that are just for the sake of it, but we get an opportunity to learn on the job, and especially with Web3 and blockchain. Like, the reality is we're opening engagement with clients that we're very open about, that this hasn't been built before. Even the tech we're using on a large project that we've been working on for the last 9 months, the tool sets weren't available when we started this project. And going into this, we knew that this was a whole new space, but getting trust from a client and from working with them before and them understanding, our ethos and our trustworthiness and our dedication to the same cause that they have, they've given us a space to actually learn this thing. And it's so like that's a huge benefit, as I say, of an agency, because you can spend that time, doing R&D and being funded for it, rather than take 9 months on a pet project, which would be very expensive and, not your core focus and not as likely to be successful. So that's one huge thing.
Right.
And then I think for team members, then it's like, our hiring over the last 6 months, definitely, certainly this year, is based around aptitude and attitude are the two things that are most important when we hire. Aptitude and experience are really, really important. But if team members are not coming in with this attitude of wanting to learn and be part of a team and want to learn from other people, and it's always a great sign for us when developers and product people are telling us about something they've read lately, or they've done a new certification and something completely different than what they work on day to day. It speaks a lot to their kind of character and how they will fit into the team. So that's a huge part of our hiring strategy, is looking for those kind of tenets within an individual's personality. If they're interested in learning, if education is a key component of their existence, it's gonna work really well with us.
So you're hiring developers, product managers. What about sales and biz dev roles? Do you have any additional people on your team doing that? Are you doing it as the owner? What is that one?
Great question. So we're the size of our firm right now, we're about 20 people. So as of right now, I lead business development and sales. So that's my responsibility. We have a small marketing team, which is responsible for, things like writing, editing, content, and producing video. We have a YouTube series and a TikTok and Instagram series that comes out every week to complement our newsletter. That's called What's Happening. And, without that team of individuals that can do certain different things, we have a writer, our video editor is awesome, as well as we have a administrative assistant that looks after just putting the pieces together. So we kind of almost a hodgepodge team of marketing. We've no full-time people that are involved in the marketing, but we have different contractors that are really good at specific parts of the puzzle, and it comes together to do what we want to do. Now, that's not to say that that's the way we're going to stay. I think for me personally, being the only salesperson on the team currently, it's tough. And I think especially as our marketing starts to work, it means more work for me. And I think, in the coming 6 months, for sure, that's a hire that we'll be looking for sure.
Marketing agencies have to take such a different approach to marketing and sales and all of that than a lot of other companies do, especially compared to like the SaaS and platform as a service kind of companies that we often see giving recommendations on how to do this, that, and the other thing that just doesn't work for marketing agencies because it's totally different business model.
Right.
Do you have any advice for how to kind of evaluate what you should do for sales and marketing as an agency service provider, as opposed to some of the other advice you might hear pretty often from technology companies?
Let's talk about two different sizes, obviously, like sales and marketing. On the sales side of things, I think at the size of the company that we're at right now, I think having the founder leading sales is very, very beneficial. Like, we have had salespeople in the past, and I found personally that I yield a lot of power because I'm the owner, because I'm the founder, and I have the opportunity and the luxury to kind of move things a lot faster than they would if an individual was there. So I think, for a team like me bringing on more sales, it's to complement and scale what I can do at the beginning until someone's really trained up and really, understands how 3 Advance works. So that's certainly from from the sales side. I don't think we'd want to bring someone fresh off the street. Either they're super, super experienced and something beyond what we would be able to support financially and for their own ambition. So I think sales has got to come from within, but marketing as well. Marketing, that's the puzzle that we're still trying to solve. We would like to bring someone in full time, and we look at how other people are doing that. Some people outsource their marketing almost completely. It's firms like us, and it seems to work very, very well. I think what we're still trying to do is be sure and confident about how we're doing it, and then decide, well, does it scale from within, or does it scale, from bringing outside forces? And that's part of like our what we're working through this year, and something that's on the tip of my mind as well.
Yeah, well, and your agency is right at the size where it's, you've got this potential for exponential growth to become like a 50-person agency
Right.
next, but you're at that mark where it's like, okay, that's the next leap. There's a lot of gap to jump over to get there, though.
Totally.
So it's an
Totally.
interesting time.
Growth is always difficult, and I think especially with some of the other agencies that are in the Bureau of Digital, like you and I are members of, they've talked about different stages of companies and how difficult it is to jump to different stages. And when you hit the next stage, all is good for a while you've got that going, but then when you scale, when you need to scale again, it's an entire new problem. We had a situation where, in the middle of the pandemic or just shortly into the pandemic, instead of what we were worried about in sales going down, suddenly we rocketed up. And that's a whole new problem. Suddenly you've got twice as much work as you're used to, and you've got to sort of scale a little bit back in order to get a hold of that again. So we're in a situation, well, a year later, where we've got this nice machine that's working very well as it is right now, but we know just around the corner, we're going to take another step up. And, with that, we want to be very, very intentional about it. And that goes into, even things like investments in sales and marketing. What do we want right now? We don't want this huge step up. We want to gradually take smaller steps, so we're not biting off more than we can chew, or doing disservice to the clients that we have right now. We've, as any agency owner will say, there's been very difficult times, and they're often associated with either lack of sales and having to downsize, or the other side, which is like growth. And especially when you're do a big step growth and have to deal with the ramifications of that, of a team that's really not set up to handle it yet.
I always think of it like succulent plants. You can overwater it and it will die.
Right.
And it can last for a while on very little water, the perfect amount of sunshine. Like most agencies, they just need enough to get by. But
Right.
eventually it does need watered again. You do have to have sales coming in the door.
Absolutely. It never goes away. And I think that's, as an owner, and I think I would assume a lot of other owners are like this. It's like, once you've gone through what you feel is like the rock bottom of a situation, it might be sales. It's like you thought you were about to, cut the company in half because sales were not going very well. Once you go through a sort of cataclysmic event like that, the next time it's a hell of a lot easier. Number one, you're preparing for it. You diversify your options a little bit more, but also how much time to give it, how much patience you need, and how much you've got to dig deep and make sure that you're not allowing the situation to spark any bad moves. You could be very sort of intentional about it all.
You can see the warning signs a lot sooner, and you can decide, do I need to dig my heels in, or do I need to cut
Absolutely.
deeper now to keep the infection from spreading? So let's get a little controversial for a minute. Is there anything within the greater marketing industry that you strongly disagree with?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel as a creative firm that our marketing needs to include our creativity and our expertise. It's not as easy to outsource it. This isn't, a small firm that is repeated in the same everywhere. We as an agency are very, very different than some of the other agencies at the same size that potentially use the same technology or the same kind of work. We are very, very different. We want to show our creativity. We want to show our passion. We want to really identify what it's like to work with 3 Advance, and not just, we started a few years ago by saying, hey, let's show case studies and screenshots of our work, and that's all we need. See beautiful app, and people will want beautiful apps, and then they'll come to us. Well, it's not important enough. We need to show that we are creative, that we care about what we do, we're passionate about what we do, and that we're personable. And that's really the key. If we talk about the newsletter and our video series, it really is like, hey, these are the people you're going to see day in, day out. Even if there's only 10 people viewing, we had one of our clients who she's only on board with us a month and a half. And she's telling me, I love your newsletter. I love your videos. It's awesome to see you and Kate pop on every week. And even for that one client to give that experience of being part of this thing that's exciting and fun and, on the cusp of technology, these are startups. Even if they're non-technical or they don't have an internal team, they want to be along for the ride. They want to have the startup experience. And I think, our team sort of like combines and joins together with their team and gives them part of that full, startup experience. And I think that shines through some of our marketing. And I think it's very difficult to get that message through without a lot of time and energy by humans on our side. So it's not a box cuttered situation.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with your assessment of marketing agencies needing to really put their expertise on the forefront of how they approach relationship building, how they approach their marketing materials, how they approach sales conversations, because people need help bridging that trust gap, right? There's a lot of uncertainty in that divide, and they want people to help get them over to the other side of where they're trying to go, where they're trying to get to, especially with what you're dealing with. And that chasm is just so wide. Do you think that the way agencies oftentimes keep their people in the background as opposed to putting them at the forefront of their marketing efforts is holding them back?
I think it's kind of, because that's twofold, because in some ways, agencies, unlike a lot of other businesses, like maybe it's a tech thing, on their website, the about page, they always have the faces of people. Lots of faces. This is all the faces, and some get a little bit more creative where the faces switch and you say their favorite, their interests and their passions and their sports or whatever else. And that's kind of cool. But I think like right now, the world is all about video. Like everyone is consuming content on video. I think that's an important shift that more agencies need to make, because if that's the way most people are receiving their content, we've got to try to step up there and do that too. And I think I would love to see innovation in agency websites that bring video into the fold more, and not shiny video about the products they're creating, but about their people. Some firms do it very well. I know, I think there's a group called Focus Labs that do really good interviews with clients, and I love because it shows the personality dynamics between a client and the agency people, and it's great. So I love that kind of thing. But I think there's a lot more opportunity. There's a lot more opportunity to bring video and people to the forefront more than just a photograph or a blurb. Let's hear them. Let's see what a conversation might be like. Let's get a sense of their personality, their passion, and everything else.
You're so right. When I was the director of marketing for an agency, one of my favorite projects that we did was about videos with everyone on the team, and they're like 60-second clips. We got everyone together when we did an agency get together in Michigan. And it was so much fun to get to hear all these random facts about people and just ask silly questions, and let their personalities really shine through in the video. And by far, those pieces of content were the most engaged with because they're human, they're relatable, and they're irrelevant to the actual day-to-day operations of business, but they matter for creating the human connection that's needed to keep relationships moving forward.
Yeah. There are, our clients and clients of other agencies who are about to embark on a journey that's not going to be fun all the time. It's so important to have a relationship and understand that there's people with goals and feelings and everything else. And, to know that there's a real person there, especially when everything's online. It used to be, we need to know where they are so that we can go knock the door if there's a problem. Well, that's not always possible now, especially through the pandemic, when I probably can only presume a lot of agencies have spread their focus across the country rather than in their backyard. And there needs to be a human to human connection and appreciation for people and how they act.
Do you see any other good ways for marketing agencies to be better about that?
I think, as I say, video is very, very important. Internally, like this isn't a marketing thing. This is more of a client relations and process thing that we believe in. It's making sure that our clients have access and interactions with all of the team. The biggest problem is that they're just meeting one person. And well, what if that one person disappears? But also it gives a sense of more empathy for the developer from the client, and there's more empathy for the client from the developer. And so again, it's not a marketing question. It's more of a process and values and, day-to-day activities thing. but super important.
Hey, account managers are the best marketers and salespeople on the team, right?
Right on.
They should be anyway. This doesn't mean they are right now, but they should. Thank you again to Paul for coming on and talking about what he's done with his agency, really moving forward. There's a couple takeaways that I just want to draw attention back to. I really liked Paul bringing up was the fact that remote culture doesn't just happen naturally anywhere. Even if you have a remote and in-office hybrid model, you have to foster and facilitate connection when you're in virtual environments. The same that you have to do with your employees, you have to do with your client relationships too. If you don't have clients coming back to the office, and if you don't have employees going to see clients anymore and everything's virtual, the ways that you have to facilitate relationship building are much more nuanced now because you're between a screen all the time. So make sure that you're being intentional about building relationships with your employees and with your clients as well. And then finally, about marketing and sales for your agency, which is the bane of so many agencies' existence. Make sure that your people are passionate about what they're doing and then get them at the front of your marketing efforts. They don't have to be salespeople officially, but account managers should be selling. They should be identifying problems that existing clients have and helping them know what solutions are available and that you can implement for them. Likewise, in your marketing materials, talking about what's happening, the new things that are going on, and getting more visibility of your individual contributors on your team out to prospective audience members on your social media, through your email marketing, your inbound marketing plan in general, and having them on blogs and LinkedIn articles, those kinds of things, getting them out to events, getting them doing webinars. There's so many options. Getting them to do podcasts like this one. You've got so many options, and you really just need to tap into that. Get their faces out there, get some videos going, help them be recognized as authorities as well, not just your agency name, their names as well. That will help you build clientele, retain top talent. The benefits list goes on and on from there. But that rounds it out for today's episode of RecalibrAgency, where we're hearing stories of the trials and triumphs of agency life from agency owners and marketing leaders. I'm your host, Danielle Photo, and we'll talk to you more soon.